All right, welcome back to J-Face Games. Today I wanted to talk a little bit more about the living card, or the card game that we're trying to design, the deck building card game. And I wanted to just demonstrate, because I know that last time I was talking abstractly, and I wanted to demonstrate what this might look like or feel like. And right now I'm just using some basic Marvel cards on Tabletop Simulator just to kind of show what the hands might look like. This wouldn't be obviously the cards that we used. So what it might look like is that, say you have, let's split these up a little bit, right? So you're gonna have two different decks, right? You're gonna have your actual deck right here, which is your hand. And then you're gonna have this deck, which is sort of, once again, gonna be this is your starting deck, right? So this might be a particular deck based on the faction you are, that always has the same 10 cards. And then you're gonna have your pre-made deck, which is gonna be, these are the cards that I wanna get access to. And maybe this number is closer to like 50, right? So now, what does this look like? Well, you would have a trade row, just like in a lot of other games, like Ascension or Heroes Realm, or Hero Realms and Star Realms, etc. And then the other player is going to have the same thing up here, right? Now, on my turn, I would draw 5 cards, and those 5 cards would be, in essence, similar to this in terms of there would be a value, because I like the idea that every card can be discarded for a resource. So every card's a resource, right? Now this at the top is the purchasing power of that. So I would need, like, this is a 2, so I would have to discard 2 cards to buy this card, okay? So let's go ahead and start doing that. Let's buy real quick just because it's already here. So maybe I really like this card, so I then would, oops, makes it hard to grab from here, huh? Sorry, a little technical difficulty. Weird. Let's say I would take this card and I would discard it out here. I don't know why it's not letting me grab it. Maybe because I'm actually way over here. It's very frustrating. So discard that card. I would discard this card. And I would say, okay, I just discarded those 2 cards, so now I'm going to purchase this card, and it goes here, right? And it goes in my discard pile. Now, maybe I want to play these cards. Maybe they're events. Maybe they are army units, etc. So they might come out here. Ugh, let's pretend I drew one of the cards from my hand. And it goes out here into like a line, because I like that Keyforge attack line, right? So now they're going to come out here. And say I actually played 3 cards from my hand. And now let's say all 3 of these ended up in my discard pile, right? I'm going to go ahead and just do that real quick. I'll do it from here. Right? So now what happens at the end of my turn? Well, now I might attack some of their units, and you could attack all sorts of things. You could technically attack their hand. So what's in their hand? You could attack their row. What's in their row? You could attack their big deck, their other deck. Like, there's all ways that I'm sure you'd be able to attack. Similar to Netrunner, how you could attack all sorts of different areas. Or you could be playing these not to attack, but to build up some sort of resource engine, right? Like you're using some sort of power on these to then draw more cards, right? And the second you buy a card, a new card would flop out. And like I said before, one of the ways you win is you might be trying to explore. So say this card comes out and it's actually like a exploration card. Like it's a new world or a new island that I'm trying to explore. Well, I might try and tap it around, and if I get it around by spending a certain amount of resources, now I actually get that into like a point value somewhere, right? So now, we're talking macro. We're talking like, how does this feel, right? So at the end of my turn, what I would do is that whoever died fighting would be discarded as well, etc. I would then draw 5 new cards. If there weren't 5 new cards, so let's do this now. If there weren't 5 new cards, if there's only 3, I would draw those 3. I would take this stack, I would flip it, and I would shuffle it, and I'd draw 2 more, right? So that would be how I'd get my 5 cards. And now when my turn comes back around, the beginning of my turn, I would take the rightmost card, and I would discard it. So there's an attrition here, right? There isn't you can't just keep cards out permanently. And this might not be just the rightmost. It might be 2 of the rightmost. You know, it might be your 2 most, okay? Something. And so now you're going to be losing cards. That kind of goes to one of the games I really liked was Legend of the Five Rings LCG. They had the honor system, where in essence what would happen is that cards would be flopped down and they'd get a certain amount of honor, and there would be this deterioration of honor over time. So you knew that cards weren't staying forever, right? Now there could be ways you get cards to stay very long. Say this card is in my hand. What I could do is maybe it has a place on right flank ability, and so it goes here. And so that allows me to keep this card out there longer. There's a lot of fun you can play with some of those Keyforge concepts where it's like maybe most cards have to go on the left, but maybe some of the cards are allowed to split in between. Maybe some cards can go on the right flank. Maybe certain cards have taunt abilities, so whatever cards are next to it, you have to attack it first. So you can have some fun with those kind of Keyforge rules while still having this sort of deck building kind of mechanic. And then finally, what I like from a game called Codex is a resource management system, right? This one is, I'm not sure if I love this yet. This is, because I don't want it to break the game. That's the problem. But one of the other ideas is that in Codex, the way you get more resources is by culling certain cards from your deck. So let's say if it's a 1 resource card like this, you can't really do that with this, okay? Because maybe there's other ways, other cards would allow you to call this. But let's say it's one of your more powerful cards, like this 3 resource card here. Maybe what you do is you can discard that. It then goes underneath your deck so that it's showing it's showing resources. And say on the right bottom corner, there's another number, like a 1. And what that means is that every round you have at least 1 resource to spend, and then I could discard these 4 cards and that would have 5 resources. Now I could buy a 5 resource card, okay? And now this isn't taking into account what we talked about in the last video, which is there's a couple different resources. There's tech, there's attack, there's defense, there's etc. So hopefully this gives a better idea of what I was thinking in terms of this game, how the game kind of flows and how it moves, and how it would be very cool to, I know what this players starting 10 or 15 cards are because I know what that faction is, and I see what cards they're putting into their deck. This is going to be interesting. I need to go this strategy, or I need to do this, etc. So that's it. Tune in next time and we will talk soon.